get lucky and get a bunch of green onions? Well, you know they don't have very much of a shelf life in the fridge, but you can pickle, ferment, and dry green onion. And that gives your shelf life months, if not years. Okay, we're all done cutting it up. We've got the heads and the roots, which we're going to keep. We've got the green stems in the water. We're going to make sure there's no more dirt, and we're going to rinse them and dry them. And then we've got our heads. And they're in here in the water. We're going to rinse them out real good, and we're going to make sure they're nice and clean, and then we're going to start stacking our jars. The last pile is garbage. Now, some people will tell you that this is compost, but I was taught a long time ago, citrus fruits and onions onions, and garlic do not belong in your compost pile because their ability to kill bacteria does not only extend to bad bacteria, but good bacteria too. And you want certain good bacteria in your compost, and this may slow down or interfere in that whole process. Now, some people will tell you that you can go ahead and do that. And if you're one of those people that feels you can go ahead and do that, well, then you do what you got to do because it's your house, your rules, right? But at my house, this would be the garbage. Now that I've got my 2 jars with my green onions, I've got my fermentation brine, put it in this one. All right, I've got my pickling mix. And we're going to fill this one. And with all that vinegar and stuff in it, we are going to stick a plastic cap. Dates are very important. We need to know how long our fermentation process has been going on. And we also want to make sure that our pickling process is long enough before we start picking into it, and that it's not sitting in the refrigerator too long. Because yes, it buys you 3 to 5 months in the refrigerator of good tasting onions, but you don't really want to go beyond that point. And I mean, it'll be obvious. I mean, they'll start turning color and they won't look as good or taste as good, but you still don't want to get to that point. And then we've got our greens. Well, we're going to take these out and we're going to chop them up nice and fine. And we're going to dehydrate them. And then we're going to put them somewhere in a cabinet. And when we need to make soups or dips or anything that would require some good green onions, hops, we're going to have them. And these go off the dehydrator. And these little tops go into a little freezer bag. And the next time I make stock or broth, I'll throw them in. I cannot stress how important it is that you properly label things. And when you're labeling something, I mean, you can write it on top here, or you can put it on a sticker and stick it on the jar, or whatever makes you happier. I have different systems for different things. But you always need to know, number one, when did you process or can whatever's in that jar? Because certain things have best by shelf lives. Some have actual expiration dates. And some things, you just want to know, how long has that been sitting there? So you're always going to want to put a date. And you want to be very specific about what's in your jar, because I got a bunch of green stuff in jars. It could be pretty much anything. This could be kale cut up. I mean, just looking at it, you never really know, but it's green onion. But you want to always be very specific about that. And if it were an herb and I wanted to put its official name, that would be very good, because there are some different plants that look alike, may even have some similar qualities, but they're very different. So it's always important to make sure that, you know, if you have a scientific name that you know, I mean, this is a green onion, it's for food use. I know that. But you may not with other things. I use a red dot system for things that I've processed at home. There are times where I will buy herbs, or I will buy things that are already processed. They've already been dehydrated, or they've already, you know, come sealed in another bag, and then I open that bag to use them, and then I resealed them. If I've processed it myself at home, I put a little red dot by the date. So if I ever look and I see a red dot, I know that this is something that I either home grew or I processed myself. It's not something that was store-bought and came prepackaged. One reason that is kind of important is that sometimes there's recalls. And you could have something sitting on your shelf, you know, I could have repackaged it and put it on the shelf, and it could have been from, you know, maybe a year or two ago. And the recall may not come out until, you know, a year after you bought it. You don't know these things. And so sometimes I will even put the manufacturer, or if there's a lot number, you might want to put it. You can never put too much information on your tag. But this ain't going to get too much, because I've processed it myself. I've washed it myself. I know where I bought it, you know. But it's just a heads up, you know, that labeling is very important. Dates are very, very important, because no matter how good you think your memory is, it's never as good as you need it to be at the time that you're looking for the information.